Hello everyone, in today's video, I found a very interesting problem from Indonesian's Mathematical Olympiad, which basically states that if x cubed, if x cubed plus 1 over x cubed is equal to 18, what's the value of x to the 7 plus 1 over x to the 7 plus 7? So what's fascinating about this question is we can actually manipulate the x to the 7 plus 1 over x to the 7. If we use the x cubed plus 1 over x cubed, we can simply factor out x cubed plus 1 over x cubed times, it's 3 plus 4 equals 7, right? So it's x to the 4 plus 1 over x to the 4. But don't forget, there's also the remainder. If we use FOIL, if we expand it out, we get x to the 7 plus x cubed over x to the 4th plus x to the 4th over x cubed, and then plus 1 over x to the 7th. And then if we cancel things out, we get x to the 7 plus 1 over x to the 7 plus x plus 1 over x. But we only want the x to the 7 plus 1 over x to the 7, not the x plus 1 over x. So what can we do to get rid of it? We can simply do x minus x plus 1 over x. Sorry. Okay. So now we write the first equation, x cubed plus 1 over x cubed is equal to 18. So now this also looks like a familiar property. We have a property which is a cubed plus b cubed is equal to is equal to a plus b cubed minus 3ab times minus 3ab times a plus b. So now if we sub in x cubed plus 1 over x cubed, we simply get x plus 1 over x cubed minus 3 times x times 1 over x times x plus 1 over x is equal to 18. So now we get that x plus 1 over x plus x plus 1 over x cubed minus 3 times x plus 1 over x is equal to 18. So now we can simply substitute x plus 1 over x equals y. So we get y cubed minus 3y is equal to 18. So now this looks like a cubic formula, a cubic equation. So we simply y cubed minus 3y minus 18 is equal to 0. So now we factor out 18 is a factor of 2 times 9. So we can basically do something like y cubed minus 9y plus 6y minus 18 is equal to 0. So now we factor out the y's and then factor out the 6 and the 18. We get y squared minus 9 is equal plus 6y minus 3 is equal to 0. But remember that y squared minus 9 is simply the same as a squared minus b squared, which is equal to a plus b times a minus b, remember? So by using that principle, we get that y times y plus 3 times y minus 3 plus 6 y minus 3 is equal to 0. So now we factor out the y minus 3 from both sides. We get that y minus 3 times y plus 3 plus 6 is equal to 0. Or we get that y minus 3 times y squared plus 3y plus 6 is equal to 0. So now we form two branches. The first branch is y minus 3 equals 0. So that means that we get y minus 3 or x plus 1 over x is equal to 3. And then on the other side, we get that y squared plus 3y plus 6 is equal to 0. So now if we use the quadratic formula, y equals minus 3 plus minus the root of 9 minus 4 times 6 over 2. But let's get back to the question. It is said that x does not equal to 0. But this is imaginary. So that means that no values, an imaginary number plus 1 over imaginary number does not equal to any rational number. It just doesn't work. So if we continue expanding this, we get that y equals minus 3 plus minus root 13 times I, or where I is equal to root of negative 1. That means that this is not a solution. So our only solution is x plus 1 over x is equal to 3. Okay, so great. So now what you need to find is x to the 4 plus 1 over x to the 4. So let's write again, x plus 1 over x is equal to 3. And then we square both sides. So now we get that x squared plus 1 over x squared plus 2 is equal to 9. So now we minus 2 on both sides to cancel out the 2. We're left with x squared plus 1 over x squared is equal to 7. If we square again on both sides, we get that x to the 4th plus 1 over x to the 4th plus 2 equals to 49. So now that means that x to the 4th plus 1 over x to the 4th is equal to 47. So now we found the values that we need. So now let's substitute it back into the original equation. So that means that x to the 7 plus 1 over x to the 7 is equal to 18 times 47 minus 3, which is approximately 800. Oh yeah, it's 846 minus 3. So now we get that it's x to the 7 plus 1 over x to the 7 is equal to 843. But remember, we're tasked to find x to the 7 plus 7. So that means we just simply do 847 plus 7, 843 plus 7 I mean, which is equal to 850. This is overall a beautiful question, but that solves the question for today. Thank you for watching.